All right, so we talked about terms and factors yesterday. And so, as sort of a warm up, we're going to do a couple of things. So, let's look at all right, let's look at executing that and then simplifying. All right. So, if I bring this x in, x times 6x is 6x squared. X times -2 minus 2x plus 7x squared. Now here I've got a minus 2x there, minus 8. All right, then here we could see that we have a couple of terms that are common or like terms. Same variable, same exponent. We can combine those, positive 6 and positive 7, 13x squared. -2, -2x, that's a -4x, and then my -8. All right, so today we're going to talk about what kind of a thing this is. So I'm going to introduce lots of vocabulary today. The first one, and I want you to write these down, is polynomial. Polynomial. Now, let me get my definition up here. What we have right here is what's known as a polynomial, okay? It's a mathematical expression consisting of variables and coefficients, okay? Now, I mentioned the word yesterday. Now we're going to get a little bit into what those are. So here are your coefficients. Okay, even 8 we can consider a coefficient. So 13, -4, and -8. Okay. Coefficient. Believe it's 2 F's. Let me double check. Yeah. Coefficient. Okay. There are 3 coefficients. There's the coefficient of x squared, the coefficient of x, and the coefficient that is also the constant. Remember, this is also called constant. All right. All right. So what is a polynomial? Polynomial, let's write the definition here. It's a mathematical expression consisting of variables and coefficients and involves only addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. And exponentiation. I haven't used that word yet, but you can see the word exponent inside exponentiation. Exponentiation to non-negative integer powers. Yeah, it's a lot, but I'll give you a minute. Let me kind of make sure you have that written down. It's a mathematical expression consisting of variables and coefficients and involves only addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and exponentiation to non-negative non-negative integer powers. So what does it mean to have a non-negative integer power? All right, so if I had 5 to the negative 2, 5 to the negative 1/2, 5 to the 3/4, 5 to the 6th, okay? These are all exponents, but only some of them, or maybe only one of them, is non-negative and an integer, okay? So you already know that these two are not integers, so they're off the table, the 1/2 and the 3/4. The word non-negative is exactly what it sounds like, not negative. So it can't be something like that. So only a positive integer can be found in a polynomial. Okay. Give you guys just another second to write that, and we will move on. All right. So let's set up another one. We have 3x times 2x minus 1/3 plus 4x squared. All right, let's execute. 3x times 2x gives us 6x squared. The 3 times 2 gives us 6. The x times x gives us x squared. Now 3 times negative 1/3 will result in a negative. 3 times 1/3 is just 1. Okay. 3 times a third, right? 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3, that's just 1. Or 3 times 1 over 3 is 3 over 3, which is 1. So negative 1, and then you have that x. And I'm not going to write the 1, because just the x by itself means 1. So those parentheses there are gone now, because we multiplied through, plus 4x squared. So now I'm going to look, do I have any like terms? Well, there's all x's here, x, x, and x, but only 2 of them have the same exponent. So I can combine 6x squared and 4x squared together. That would give me 10x squared minus x. All right. So this is a polynomial. Why? Because this is an expression. Okay. And there's coefficients. Let's list the coefficients. The coefficients are 10 and negative 1. Now, I have a lot of students who miss that negative 1. They'll put 0 because they don't see a number here. Now, it's important to know that this is a negative 1. Okay, if there was a 0 in front of x, there would be no x. 0 times the x would just go away because it doesn't matter what x is. Nothing times 0 returns anything. So this is 10 and negative 1 for our coefficients. So it fits the definition so far. It involves only addition, multiplication, subtraction, and division. So I have multiplication here, 10 times x squared. I have subtraction, 10x squared minus x. So that's all well and good. And I have exponents. I have an exponent of 2. This has a hidden exponent of 1. And those are both integers. So we're good. This is a polynomial. This is a polynomial. Okay, now I kind of want to see, before we get into naming, I was going to look at the etymology. Okay, so, and you guys probably know this, poly means many. Okay, this is the Latin origin of the word. Nomial This is the one I didn't know. It means name. So a polynomial means many name. And so that's going to make a little bit more sense when we talk about what kind of polynomial this is. Right now, that's just, what do you mean many names? Is that just, that doesn't mean anything. It just means you can call it whatever you want. Well, it'll make a little bit of sense once we start getting into the types of polynomials. Okay. So in an expression, and we're going to look at this one right here. Okay. I want you to message me, how many terms do I have? Message me how many terms. Wait for everybody to respond here. Make sure you're responding to me personally. And from what I put into the box, how many terms do I have there? Okay, well, if you messaged me, I do not see it. Make sure you're messaging directly me. So if we remember, terms are things we add or subtract. Okay. How many things are we adding or subtracting here? That's right. Somebody said it. 2. We have this term here, and we have this term here. Very good. All right. Of those 2 terms, because there are 2 terms in this expression, this particular polynomial is called a binomial. Okay. Bi means 2. Its name is 2. That's kind of what binomial means. All right. So binomial means that there's 2 terms. Hold on. There we go. If I had 10x squared minus x plus 2, let's say I had that expression. Message me, how many terms do you think are in this expression right here? How many terms? Terms are things we add or subtract. So put it in the chat. Add or subtract. How many terms? What I've got boxed in right here. Don't worry, only I can see it. Don't be shy. Let's get at least one answer here. Someone could just throw me a guess. No guesses? All right. There are 3 terms. Here's the first term. Here's the second term. Here's the third term. Okay, there are 3 terms. So this one is called a trinomial. Okay, tri meaning 3. Now, what happens if I can mix things together? So 10x squared plus 2x squared minus 3x minus 4x plus 2 plus 7. Now, this looks like it has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 terms. That looks like it has 6 terms. But I can actually combine some of these. The 10x squared and the 2x squared can combine to give me 12x squared. The negative 3x and the negative 4x can combine to give me a negative 7x. And the 2 and the 7 can combine to give me a 9. So this is actually 3 terms. Once we simplify everything down and we can no longer combine, that's when we know how many terms we have. Not up here. Up here, it's still not simplified. So here, this tells me that I have a trinomial. Okay? Trinomial. All right. What if my expression is just one term? One lonely term, nothing added or subtracted from it, just one term. What's that called? That's called a monomial. I think it's just or monomial. Let me double check. It's not monomial with two N's. Why is it not showing me? Give me just a second. Okay. Guess it's not in there. We're going to go with monomial, meaning one. Okay. All right. So now the next thing that we're going to look at is the exponent. All right. So I'm going to give you three monomials. They're all going to be different. A monomial means there's only one term. The first one is going to be x cubed. The next one is going to be 3x squared. And the third one is going to be 4x. Okay. Each one of these by itself is a monomial, but there's a difference between them, and that is the exponent on the variable. The exponent here on 4x1 is 1. The exponent here is 2, and the exponent there is 3. The other thing that's different are the coefficients. Okay. The coefficient here is 1. The coefficient here is 3. And the coefficient here is 4. Okay. The way that we name polynomials is by the number of terms and then the highest degree. Okay. Highest degree. What do we mean by degree? Degree means exponent. Okay. So this exponent is 1. This exponent is 2. This exponent is 3. If you have the highest degree of 1, that's known as linear. Okay? Later on in Algebra 1, I'll teach you why it's called linear. If it has a 2 in the exponent, it's called quadratic. Quadratic. If there's a 3 as the highest degree or highest exponent, that's called cubic for cube. All right. So how are each one of these polynomials named? The first one is known as, and we put the degree name first. So x cubed is called a cubic monomial. Okay, degree first, number of terms second. This one is called a quadratic monomial. And the last one is called a linear monomial. Okay? All right. So I'm going to write down three different. Oh, the other thing I was going to mention here is that it does not matter what the coefficients are. The coefficients do not change or influence the name of the polynomial in any way. Only the degree and the number of terms. Okay? All right, so we're going to have 3x squared plus 2x. I'm going to name this one for you, okay? I want you to pay attention. What is the name of that polynomial? Well, I know that my coefficients are 3 and 2, but my coefficients don't matter. All right. So I have two terms. So I know that is a binomial. Okay. Now I have an exponent of 1 here and 2 here. So I have to go with the highest one. This is the highest. And what do we call twos? We call those quadratics. Quadratic binomial. That is the name of that right there. Okay. I'm going to give you 3 more here. All right. So we're going to name each one of these. All right. I have 2 terms here. So I know that that is a binomial. All right. And my variable here, the highest exponent is 1. So that is linear. And remember, it's just the exponent on the variable. Just the exponent on the variable. This obviously can be expressed as a 2 squared, because this is 4, but we only care about the exponent on the variable. All right, this next one, there are 2 terms, so that is going to be a binomial as well. And there is a 2 for my exponent on this x and a 3 for my exponent on this x. So this is a cubic. Cubic binomial. Quadratic binomial. Linear binomial. Those are all binomials. One is quadratic, one is linear, one is cubic. It has to do with the highest degree. All right, let's look at the next one. There are 1, 2, 3 terms. So that is going to be a trinomial. The exponent has a 1 here, a 3 here. So the 3 is the highest, so that is a cubic trinomial. Okay. Now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. All right, so what do we call 4 terms? Well, once you pass trinomial, then it just becomes the word 4 term. So 1 term is monomial, 2 terms is binomial, 3 terms is trinomial, and then anything above 3 terms just gets its number, 4 term or 5 term or 6 term, so on and so forth. 1, 2, 3 is my highest, so this is a cubic. And the way that we say this is a cubic 4-term polynomial. We do not add the word polynomial to these because nomial is already in the term description. So quadratic binomial, linear binomial, cubic binomial, cubic trinomial, and this is a cubic 4-term polynomial. All right, so let's make a small little chart for your notes. All right, this is going to be terms in expression. And then this is going to be name. Okay. All right. 1 term, 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms, 5 terms. If there's 1 term, what's its name? Monomial. If there's 2 terms, it's called a binomial. If there's 3 terms, it's called a trinomial. If there's 4 terms, it's called a 4-term polynomial. If there's 5 terms, it's called a 5-term polynomial. All right. Make sure that this chart's easily accessible for your homework, because that'll help you kind of get the names down, because you won't be able to use notes on your quiz, and you'll need to be able to recognize the correct name. All right, any questions? We're going to make another small chart. It's going to be degree. And then name. So if it's a degree of 1, the x or the L or whatever variable, the highest is just an exponent of 1. It is called linear. We're going to do the same thing. 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to go up to 6. Okay, 2 is 2nd degree, which is a quadratic. That's your squared, where 2 is the highest degree in a polynomial. 3 is cubic, where 3 is the highest degree in your polynomial. 4 is quartic. Q-U-A-R-T-I-C, quartic. If the highest exponent is 5, it's called quintic. Q-U-I-N-T-I-C, quintic. And if it's degree 6, it's called a 6th degree. 6th degree. All right. Then, of course, anything above that, 7 degree, 8 degree, 9 degree polynomial. Or binomial, or whatever the terms are. Okay. So keep those 2 charts on hand. And remember, the way that we name is degree first, and then number of terms second. Okay? That's how we name. So I'm going to give you one here. And I want you to message me what you think that is. All right, 7x cubed plus 2. Message me what you believe to be the name of that polynomial. Okay. What I'd like you to do is go ahead and message me a question mark if you're completely lost and this isn't making any sense. Trying to get a feel for. It is a polynomial. Okay, that's correct. Someone messaged polynomial, but it's a certain kind of polynomial. So the first thing you want to do is figure out, okay, what's the degree and what's the number of terms? All right, very good. Someone said binomial. There are two terms. So yes, this is going to be a binomial. Very good. All right, what about its degree? And remember, degree has to do with the exponent on the variable, the highest exponent on the variable. And for this, that is a 3. So if I look at my chart for degree 3, what is the word that I'll use? Anybody know? For degree 3, what's the word I'm going to use? All right, one. Oh, that's okay. Someone said they were messaging the wrong person. That's okay. Make sure you're messaging Andy Castro. My wife's account is not on today. Okay. Somebody messaging the correct thing. Very good. This is called a cubic binomial. Cubic binomial. Very good. All right, let's move on to another one. Six x to the fourth minus 2x squared plus 7x minus 2. Okay. First thing to ask yourself is how many terms are there? Someone messaged me, how many terms are there? How many terms do I have in this expression right there? When you have the answer, go ahead and message it. 6x to the fourth minus 2x squared plus 7x minus 2. How many terms? Nobody has any idea? Well, let's count them. How many things are we adding or subtracting? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 4 terms. All right. And then my degree. What is my degree? Well, I've got a 1 here. I've got a 2 here. And I've got a 4 here. So what is my highest one? My highest one is the 4. So that's going to go here. So it's 4 degrees and it's 4 terms. So let's look at our chart. We have a degree 4. So that's going to be quartic. Degree 4 is going to be quartic. 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 And then let me get my other chart here. The terms, this is going to be a 4-term polynomial. So this is going to be a quartic 4-term polynomial. All right. Let's do another one. Remember, we want to split this into degree and then number of terms. Okay. Then over here, we'll put the name. That'll. Right. So here you're going to have x squared. Here you're going to have 4x cubed minus 10x. Here you're going to have 6x to the 5th power. And then here you're going to have 2x squared plus 3x minus 2. All right. I'll give you guys a minute. Go ahead and replicate this on your sheet of paper. And I'll give you a minute to do that. And then I'll come back and we will fill these in together. And while everybody is doing that, if you guys could please give me some feedback through messaging. If you're completely lost, I want to know that just to make sure I'm not moving too fast. I'm only getting one or two of you to respond. So if you could message and maybe you don't have the ability to message for one reason or another. But if you can, message me if this is just way over your head. Give you guys a minute here. All right, so let's start filling this in. Degree. Well, that is a 2. Number of terms, 1. All right, let's not worry about naming yet. Let's just fill out this part right here. Degree, that is degree 3. Number of terms, 2. All right, next one. Degree, 5. Number of terms, 1. And then the one down here, degree, 2. Number of terms, 3. All right. Now let's put in their name. So if we look back at our chart, what do we call a degree 2? We call that, let me get my chart here. Make sure you guys have made this chart. This is a quadratic. And there is one term. What is one term? That is monomial. Quadratic monomial. Someone had messaged in a quadratic binomial. That is incorrect. You only have one term, so that makes it a monomial. This can get tricky because you're like, wait, but it's degree 2. That 2, you think, oh, binomial. So it can get tricky. So make sure you keep those two things separate, the degree and the number of terms. Quadratic monomial. All right, next. Degree 3. Degree 3 is cubic. And the number of terms is 2. So 2 terms is a binomial. So cubic binomial. Okay. All right. Next, we have a degree of 5. So what do we call a degree 5? That one's got the funny word. It's quintic. Degree 5 is quintic. Number of terms is 1. So that is a monomial. Okay. Here we have a degree 2. So degree 2 means quadratic. Oops, I forgot to show that to you. Degree 2 means quadratic. Now I have 3 terms, and 3 terms is trinomial. All right. One of the secrets to this that really helps is understanding that the degree and the number of terms have no influence on each other. Okay? So notice how the degree goes from 2 to 3 to 5 to 2, and we name that degree directly. Quadratic, cubic, quintic, quadratic. It doesn't matter how many terms there are. Then when we look at the terms, we don't care what the degree is. So monomial, binomial, monomial, trinomial. All right. So now I'm going to give you one that you'll have to simplify first. All right. So we're going to simplify that one. Now let me add something else to it for fun. All right. We're going to simplify that and then determine how many terms and what the highest degree is. Okay. So we'll simplify it and then we will look at degree. Well, I don't know where we'll end up on our paper. So let's just start simplifying. All right. So 7x times 2x squared. The 7 times the 2 is going to give me 14. The x times the x squared is going to give me x to the third. Okay? So x times x squared, that's x times x squared is x times x. So that's where I'm getting my x cubed, x to the third power. All right, 7x times negative 3x. 7 times negative 3 is negative 21. X times x is x squared. All right, 7x times 2. 7 times 2 is 14. And then x times, well, it's just the 7 times x times 2, so the x isn't being multiplied. Well, it is being multiplied by the 14, but there's no other x's to multiply it by. And then we have this plus 4. All right, let's see. Can we combine anything? Okay, I've got my 14x cubed, my 21x squared, my 14x, and my 4. I have no like terms, so I cannot combine anything. All right. So now I want to look at degree and number of terms. Okay. Degree and number of terms. And that'll determine our name. Okay. All right, so let's look here. What is our degree? I have a 1 as my exponent on my x, a 2 on this x, and a 3 on this x. So this is going to give me a degree of 3. Next, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 terms. So I know my degree and I know my terms. So what is the word that I use for a degree of 3? That is cubic. All right, and I have 4 terms, so I use the phrase 4-term polynomial. So this is a cubic 4-term polynomial. Very good. All right, let's do one more. Let's start with 4x times 3x squared minus 2x plus 6 times x squared minus 7. All right. And let's make that 7x right there. Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and simplify. 4x times 3x squared. 4 times 3 is 12. X times x squared is x to the third, or x cubed. 4x times negative 2x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. X times x is x squared. Got a plus here. 6 times x squared is 6x squared. 6 times negative 7x is negative 42x. All right, now let's see if we can combine anything. Okay, well, I've got x cubed, I've got x squared, I've got x squared, and I've got x. All right, I can combine these two right there. Those are both the same variable and the same exponent. So negative 8x squared plus 6x squared gives me negative 2x squared. That's what they give me. This is 12x cubed minus 2x squared minus 42x. That is simplified down to its most simple. So now I'm going to list the degree and the number of terms. Then I'm going to put the name right underneath. All right, so what is the degree? Well, if we look, we have a 1 here, a 2 here, and a 3 here. My highest is 3. Then I look at how many terms I have. 1, 2, 3. I have 3 terms. So my chart, when I look at degree 3 is cubic. And 3 terms, if I look at that chart, 3 terms is trinomial. So this is a cubic trinomial. All right, everybody. That is our time for today.